I was trying to, but had a little technical difficulties, so I couldn't make it yesterday. But we're here now, yo. So we gonna give y'all a good read. Now I'm gonna throw the DRs back on. We're gonna give y'all a good read. This is El Gara Gayn. This is El Gara Gayn reads. St. John New Building Kid, the age of the cracking. Let's get it cracking, y'all. Word, I missed y'all. Word, I missed y'all the other day. But we gonna get it cracking. Hold on one second. Let me load the motherboard. Okay. Yesterday we was on Instagram. We did the read, so I'm gonna reiterate it to y'all on YouTube, so we keep on point and be in sync with the YouTube viewers. Right now we on chapter 9, Danger and Indian. Last week we read chapter 8. So now we're in chapter 9. So check it out, man. G Money going through it right now. So he's going through it. Some drama, some serious drama, because last week was Civil War. Know what I mean? So he's going through it down right now. So this is Danger Indian. Check it out, man. In the midst of the pandemonium, G Money and Charles made a low-key attempt to slip out unnoticed. Their plan, however, was foiled as a uniformed pig spotted them. A swift pat down, and they were both against the wall. Suddenly, a voice cut through the cacophony, an instigator from the earlier brawl. That's the one. He stabbed him. The dude shrieked, pointing an accusatory finger at G Money. His words rang out sharp and clear in the tumult. The cops didn't hesitate. Freeze! Put your hands up and get against the wall, they barked. That stupid nigga, the one who had ratted on them, was now screaming at them with reckless abandon. A couple of his boys, swept up in the drama, rushed G Money and Charles despite their cuffs. The officers moved quickly, subduing them and tossing them into cuffs too. Charles and G Money were shoved into the back of a patrol car, while a paddy wagon was called for the rest. Inside the car, the cops were yucking it up, making racist jokes about racial profiling and civil rights. Their laughter grating, was grating and a stark contrast to turmoil outside. G Money could feel a spark of his godbody lessons stirring within him. He'd always managed to suppress it before, but now it was poking at his conscience, refusing to be ignored. At the station, they were all separated, each placed in their own cell. As an officer was fingerprinting G Money, he let out an amused snort. "Oh, you're just a juvenile," he sneered. The insult hung in the air, a stark reminder of just how quickly their night had turned. "But you're being charged as an adult in this matter," the officer informed G Money. His grin widening at the very word. Suddenly, the room was filled with a different kind of menace. Attempted murder in the second degree. The words hung heavy in the air. G Money, suddenly feeling the weight of the words on his shoulders, denied everything. He shot Charles a look that screamed, "Keep your damn mouth shut no matter what." As the night drew on, the hostile echoes of their opposition rang through the cold cells. Taunts of anticipated violence on the island, Rikers Island, were thrown threateningly at G Money. The fear was palpable, but G Money wore a mask of indifference. The light of dawn brought no relief. Instead, it ushered in a dreary procession through central booking and onward to court. G Money's attorney, some idiot legal aid, dropped the bombshell. There was a witness ready to testify. They'd even given a statement to the DA. Damn. The attorney presented an offer to G Money. You take the 6 months. You serve 4. Then you home free. Charles walks away, no charge. G Money was stunned. A witness to the stabbing. It all happened in a blink. After a moment of contemplation, he agreed. He'd take the 6 months. In front of the judge, G Money pleaded guilty to reduced charges of assault in the third degree. The judge turned to the district attorney, who nodded in agreement. Yes, Your Honor. And with that, Charles was released, while G Money was shipped off to the island, left awaiting his sentencing. They hauled G Money back to the holding cells in the guts of the Manhattan courthouse. Damn, he thought to himself. They throw me to the wolves. The memory of the kids screaming at him during the riot was a distant blur, their faces lost in the chaos of the moment. The door to the cramped holding cell swung open, and G Money stepped in. Silence filled the air, thick and heavy. As he made his way to the back of the cell, the stiffness was broken when the CO departed. The sounds of his boots fading into the distance. It was then that a voice broke through the quiet. Yeah, that's him. A sudden blow to the side of his head sent G Money reeling. Then, like a pack of wolves descending on their prey, they were on him, feet stomping on his body. Fists flew, hands tore at his sneakers, his hat, his jacket. The cell echoed with the squeaks of rubber soles on the cold concrete floor as they danced around him. The guards returned to the cacophony and found G Money sprawled on the ground, bloodied and beaten, and they, being from the city, had that never showed him no favor, were no better. Pinning the blame on him, they roughed him up even more, added insult to injury. The guards' actions were a stark reminder that to them, he wasn't G Money from Brooklyn. He was just another statistic, another faceless kid lost in the system. What a way to start a bid, G Money thought to himself. As the bus rattled its way from the courthouse to the island, he was dressed in a tattered turtleneck, blood-stained jeans, only one sneaker. The jacket and hat he'd once worn were ripped away. That's like his, just like his dignity. This was a cruel joke, a horrendous echo of his time in Bahala. Upon arrival at Rikers Island, he was taken to Building C-74, a place better known as Adolescence at War. Despite the echoes and the confusion around him, G Money was still possessed his most valuable asset, his wallet. It seemed that no, it seemed like a minor miracle given the circumstances. In the holding area, an adult inmate was working. This guy was a porter. His job was to sweep the cells clean after they'd been cleared out. He scanned the room, asked if anyone had money. If they did, he quoted his price for various items. How much for CIs? Asked one inmate. $10, responded the porter. G Money piped up, requesting 2 packs of cigarettes and a pair of sneakers, size 8. The porter asked generic or brand. Here, even the type of sneakers mattered, but G Money knew he had the means. Brand, he replied confidently. The porter returned with a pair of black on black Reebok pumps, even though they were size 9. 50 for the sneakers, 20 for the CIs, said the porter. Without flinching, G Money handed over 3 20s and a $10 bill. He was now a man with a brand new pair of shoes and a ready supply of smokes. This was his way of surviving, asserting his identity even in this hellish place. G Money looked down at his blood-stained turtleneck, contemplating his next move. Need a new shirt, he muttered to himself, but the porter was gone with his shift. Time was up, and it was off to the cell block until the court summoned for sentence. They led G Money to Mod 4, the, the initiation spot for the newbies, for the new jacks. Ah, initiation for the new jacks. As the door swung open, he eyed a cluster of Asian kids hovering near the entrance. Looked like they were sizing up the fresh meat. G Money chuckled under his breath. 5 o'clock, drive-in movie theater, he murmured, amused by the spectacle. The COs marched everyone to their cold metal beds. Money flopped down on his, staring up at the dull gray ceiling. At least it ain't no cells, he thought, finding small solace in the open 60-bed dormitory. Soon one of the agent's kids sauntered over to his bed, peppering Money with questions. This irked him. It was evident in his scrolling expression. The kid caught the vibe and it angered him too. Get the fuck away from my bed, Money growled. The Asian kid retreated to his crew, gathering by the bathroom. All through the night, whispers, rumors filled the air. G-Money picked up on a name that kept resurfacing, Shadow, or was it Tiger? One of them, he wasn't sure. The next morning after breakfast in the mess hall, one of the Asian guys signaled G-Money towards the bubble, the CO see-through office. As G-Money approached, the dude pointed towards the bathroom instead. He knew what was going down. His body tense and ready for the scrap. Three agent dudes jumped him in the bathroom, but G-Money was no pushover. As kicks and punches rained down on him, he snagged one of them, locking his arm around the dude's neck, choking the life out of him. That brought G-Money 15 minutes on the jack, and at that prime hour of 6:30 p.m., no less. But the glory was fleeting. He was quickly transferred back into population. Life took a switch up as G-Money was moved to Mod 8, a Shushan and Kojak house. This wasn't like the old dormitory. This was where you stayed until shit hit the fan or you earned your ticket home. A few familiar faces from orbiting projects were there, but they carried no weight, no respect, just minor dues. On his second day, G-Money was challenged to a one-on-one with a S1W, some wannabe soldier sent by a Farragut project bully named AD. G-Money dished out a beating in the back of the dorm, but it was all just a spectacle for AD. He was just testing the waters, enjoying the show. After a week, G-Money finally found himself on the Shushan and Kojak side, all because an acquaintance from the Crown Heights projects had pulled him up. Dark-skinned Mo, an Eastern Parkway native, found himself in good terms with Kojak. From that point onward, Mo split his half hour on the phone between G-Money and another guy named Gumbo. After returning from court, freshly sentenced, the first thing G-Money craved was the voice of the outside world, the sweet solace only a phone call home could give him. But before he could place his hand on the cold plastic, Mo threw him a cautionary glance. Hold up, G. She's about to hit the real. She's about to hit real. Get real. Who with? Over what? G-Money questioned, his eyes flickering over the room. In the joint, you had to back the right team. Once the brawl popped off, the dust settled, and the snitches had their say. The big players got transferred out. It was all about survival. Heaving a sigh, Mo broke the silence. Shu and AD got a score to settle. About to get messy. AD and Shu were at it again. Shu had beckoned AD to the back of the dorm, but the latter only made it halfway before he started drawing attention with his boisterous complaints. This wasn't just typical jailhouse chatter. It was a calculated move, a prime example of dry snitching. Get your ass over here, Shu snarled, stepping back to give AD some room. Bracing himself, AD took the bait and approached. Without a second to waste, Shu lunged at him. Simultaneously, Kojak lunged at a Spanish Vic, a different Vic, not to be confused with Thurston Howell III. And Mo and G Money, acting on the unspoken agreement, tackled the other two crew members running with AD. It was chaos, body slamming, fist flying. In the midst of all, AD and Vic bolted for the bubble, the officer's booth, and set off the alarm. The piercing sound of the alarms echoed through Mard 8, followed closely by the clatter of guards rushing in from the north side. First, They escorted AD and Vic out, and the situation seemed to claim the storm seemingly passed, but it was a calm before the storm. Back in the dorm, Shu and Kojak, Mo and G Money were in control. Both phones now in their possessions. They were still catching their breath when the CO re-entered the dorm, a stack of inmate floor cards in his hand. One by one, he called out their names: Shushan, Kojak. The game was far from over. Yo, get this. After Shu and Kojak had been escorted out, who you think came strutting back in, grinning like they just won the lottery? Fucking AD, Vic, man. These two backstabbing rats had sung like canaries, snitching on Shu and Kojak. Ain't that some shit? Mo and G Money had just stood there, mouths hanging open, not believing the spectacle. That same night, AD tried to cozy up to Mo and G Money, extending a hand like that, like they were all good. Nah, hell no. This is what this is what's going on down in the inner city daily. Cats using the boys in blue to put the squeeze on their opposition. The game's twisted, man, and trust me, ain't no honor in this kind of hustle. 2 days on, G Money and Mo found themselves dragged before the Bean Court. G Money copped a 60-day sentence, told he told to head back to the dorm and pack up his things. The men in blue had a new home for him, one lower, where the COs, a god body called Ibrahim, and the other fella, Santiago, ran things. One lower was nothing but styles, man. And this was G Money's first time stepping into one. When G Money finally emerged from his cell, he bumped into B.O.'s little brother, BB, and King from Nostrand and Bergen. The pair welcomed G Money, even let him get his hands on the jack. That's the phone. But the only but only for 10 only for like 10 minutes a day. The day room, that's where all the live wires chill out, swapping their stories and talking big all day. G Money found himself getting close with Head, a cat from Sumner Projects. Life in one lower was starting to shape up, but only time would tell what was in store for our man G Money. And y'all thought the drama was over? Nah, it was just catching its breath. You see, war was brewing, not on the streets, but right inside these prison walls. The players, Brooklyn and the Bronx. East side itching for dominance. One morning, as we were locked out for the day, Uptown Pop strutted into the scene. Nah, now, this Pop was from the Bronx born, not your regular Harlem Pop. He'd been hustled down to our block the night when everyone was locked in, suddenly subtly stirring up the pot. Pop wasn't one to mingle with the masses. Nah, that wasn't his style. Instead, dude perched himself up on the bubble, fronting like he was just shooting the shit with the CO. Santiago was on duty that day, not Ebron, a key detail. Then bam, the squad stormed the cell block. Stay where you are, they yelled, forcing everyone to freeze or hit the floor. They herded us back into our cells like we were livestock, and then proceeded to tear through every nick and cranny, even hidden crevices. Each prisoner was stripped butt naked, cavity checked like some piece of trash. Once they were done, they locked the whole house in. Then, as if on cue, the COs retraced their steps down the tier, stopping at BB and King cell. Shit, they were packed up and transferred out. left us all dumbstruck. The house was let out on the 3 to 11 tour, and that's when Pop made his move. Ignoring the surprised mutters, Pop swaggered over and snatched one of the phones. As he was on the call, he leaned over and whispered something to the CO. Not long after, another dude walked in, bags in his hand, looking all sorts of smug. Pop was jumping up and down, grinning like a fool. Turned out it was one of his Bronx buddies. Shit, y'all game was over, and it was about to get all kind of crazy. Out in the population, it felt like a war zone. The tension between the Bronx and Brooklyn was a taut was taut as a tightrope. More nondescript calls cats from the Bronx filtered down to the lower levels, each one with a swagger and a sneer that spoke volumes. It was as if the cell block itself held its breath. Pop was in his element, grinning like a crocodile, scenting fresh blood. He and his crew jumped one of the Brooklyn guys I know, a stand-up dude simply known as Suave or Broke Up, from the storied streets of Sterling and Schenectady. This riled up the atmosphere like a lit match tossed in a gas tank. One night before my boy G Money got shipped off to the Bing, Pop snuck over to his cell with a bucket of clothing. Pop, who towered at 6'5", stood in the cell door, looking down at G Money, who looked back and said, "The fuck you doing in my house?" Pop Pop answered, not with words but with action. He simply tossed the bucket onto the cold concrete floor. "You know what this is," he said, a hint of menace in his voice. G Money was a volcano on the brink of eruption. He snatched up the bucket, placed it on the rim of his toilet, and proceeded to unleash a fury of piss into it. He spat in it with disdain, filled it with water, and walked out of his cell, the bucket sloshing in his grips. "Yo, Pop," he yelled, a smirk playing on his lips as his fellow inmate laughed, aka Norbert from IS-290, looked on, his brow knit with confusion. "What's poppin', G Money?" he asked. By this time, Pop had left the day room, an air of expectancy about him, thinking his wishes had come true. But as G Money kneed through the bucket down at Pop's feet and swung a haymaker at his jaw, the only wish granted was a reality check. As the drama unfolded, the whole cell block held its breath, eyes locked on the center of the commotion. The Bronx dudes rushed out of their cells to hammer G Money. Despite his diminutive stature, the 5'4", about 135 pounds soaking wet, G Money took his beating on the chin. He held his head high, enduring the physical assault with a stiff upper lip. The correction officers rounded everyone up and packed them into the day room, slamming the door shut with a loud clank. They hauled G Money off to the Bang, a place he knew he was destined for since the before the bucket episodes. He was sent to the notorious Six Lower Bang, North Side, a place whispered about in the fearful tones among the inmates. They stopped G Money bare, stripped G Money bare. They stripped G Money bare, searching him thoroughly before shoving him into his cell. Once inside, the correction officers rummaged through all his belongings. Not that G Money had much to begin with. Teacher still mad about Eliza hadn't visited him in weeks. In the eerie silence of the six lower, G Money heard a familiar voice echo off the concrete walls. It was Scar Chest, a formerly Will from the Mount Vernon group home. He introduced G Money, now known as Young God, to Killer Ben, Killer Chris, the God Bodies. The Bronx was well represented down there too. with the most notable figure being Frazier, an inmate who bore an unsettling resemblance to Joe Frazier. But my days in the concrete jungle were numbered. He only had a half a year on his sentence. Tisha finally graced him with one visit, and by late August, he was a free man again, stepping off the 4 train at Schenectady, Ancient Parkway, walking up St. John with the sun on his face. He couldn't help but smile, but damn it feels good to be home. G Money found no girl waiting for him this time around, only the familiar comforts of home. He made his way upstairs to his apartment. His grandma greeted him with a warm smile. He soaked up the heat of a long overdue hot shower before hailing a cab, a livery car service, or was it Rainbow, to take him to Flatbush. Here he checked in with his Haitian family and accessed a savings account they kept for him since he was a baby in arms. He withdrew a cool $1,000, reassured his grandmother of his love, and promised to return at the weekend. His next stop was East 37th Street and Lenox. He rang Easy's bell. The door swung open to reveal an ecstatic Easy, thrilled to see his old friend G Money back in the neighborhood. Next step, next up, they picked up Dre from Linden Boulevard. Before hitting Church Avenue and Rutland Road, Easy took care of the weed, while Dre grabbed 2 6-packs of Guinness stouts. They made their way to Jake's house on Lenox in New York, where the party was set to unfold. G Money had been chatting up some local shorties, Jeannie and Katrina. Jeannie, the Puerto Rican firecracker, and Katrina, the Jamaican beauty, brought along a couple of their girlfriends that Jake knew. The night was young, and their reunion was only just beginning. The festivities. Oh, yeah, this is Gara Gayn's Reads, New Building the Kids, Age of the Kraken, Chapter 9. The festivities of the night left every soul invigorated, and as the last remains of the party settled down, G Money returned to the comforting arms of his grandma Alice home. Exhausted from the day's event, he succumbed to a deep sleep, his dream echoing the laughter and camaraderie from the Union. The dawn of the next day pulled G Money from his slumber. He had Jake's cousin, Sean, with his famed green machine, drive him back to St. John and Troy. The morning ritual of a long, hot shower and a fresh set of clothes became a welcoming routine. With his spirits high, he held his old friend Matt Dillon in the apartment next door before heading to Indian's place. Indian, known for his unending supply of cess, automatically pulled out the finest greens. The room filled with familiar aroma as Miss Lowe joined the session. Taking a pause from the haze, Indian directed Miss to relay the news of G Money's homecoming to Danger, the smooth criminal of the block. An hour later, Danger descended the stairs, a curious look etched on his face. G Money, ever the optimist, wondered aloud about the prospect of a money train. Danger, after a moment of contemplation, assured G Money, "Give me some time. I'll set everything in order for you." G Money responded with a nod, expressing his intent to make some moves to set his own affairs straight. Before parting, G Money asked Danger for a tool, implying his intent to handle some business. Danger understood the unspoken language of the streets, nodded, saying, "Hold on, I'll be right back." Blood seed rapid fire. Before Indian could even twist the next spliff, Danger walked back in, cradling a nickel-plated 38 special in his hand. Danger had never partook in the session, so the day melted away as G Money Indian burned down the greens. The ties with Indian and Danger were rekindled, and G Money slot, slotted back into his old position with ease. Later in the day, G Money decided to pay a visit to G Life at his crib. His older sister answered the door, hollered a cursory hold on, and disappeared to fetch her brother. G Life lit up at the sight of G Money. The sparks in his eyes were unmistakable. It was about money, and there was no room for half steps or stutter steps in their business. G Money was upfront about his plans. G Life, he said, I got a few places lined up to catch a few juxes. G Life, how never one to back down from a venture, was immediately on board. He knew G Money was no joker, a man who pulled no punches and would have his back in any situation. Their next stop was the bustling Albee Square Mall, a mere 3 train stops away. G Money eagle eyes spotted a couple of cats emerging from a sheepskin spot on the second floor. He nudged G Life, look at those dudes, at those two. They about to get it. The last thing G Life was known for was backing down, and this day wouldn't be the first. G Money with a hint, G Money with a sling grin, casually walked past the two towering figures as if he was searching for the A&S department store. In an instant, the air thickened. G Money pulled the nickel plate thing into the face of one man. The guy's sentence froze in his throat. G Money had them falling back. G Life was right on cue, moving with purpose like he'd rehearsed the instructions to a T. He seized both bags, frisked them, emptied their pockets. With a menacing tone, G Money ordered them to the pavement, down to the pavement. Sit, stay, don't move. He dared them. Any sign of resistance would meet with a rapid response. Swift as the wind, G Money and G Life darted towards Fulton Ave. They didn't stop, storming onto Livingston Street. They then Skimmerhorn Street. They walked nonchalantly up to Atlantic, hopped on the 45, heading back to St. John's. They disembarked at Nostrand in St. John's. G Life thumbed through the wallets. They snagged a cool 800 in change combined. G Money flagged down a cab from the local rescue cab service, a familiar sight from the block. This was merely a spree, nothing serious. The bags yielded a 8-ball leather and a pair of Sherlins. G Life, however, the trendsetter, was still rocking polo from head to toe like they were back in '86. Life in the Comfort Journal had his own peculiar rhythm, and they danced to its beat. As soon as they hit the block, G Money and G Life climbed up the stairs to G Money's crib. After some back and forth, they decided to flip the 8-ball leather and one of the shellings. The cash gleaned from their spree was split right down the middle, all square. G Life took the coats to his plug and managed a cool grand, 500 apiece. Each pocketed their share, leaving G Money with a fresh shilling to stunt. G Money wasted no time getting himself down to Sneaker King on Utica and Linden, copping a pair of Sherlin Travel Fox boots to match his new coat. Danger had warned him to keep the nickel plate thing close. Turns out Little Un had caught up with G Money that very Thursday. G Money had mentioned he had a juke lined up. Little Un responded with a curiosity word, but immediately shot back a proposition. How about you roll with me on one juke, one first? It was all hinged on whether the job was straight. G Money was cautious but open. If it's sweet, hell yeah. Little Un assured them it's a number joint. We both know. When? G Money asked, his eyes wide with anticipation. Little Un was ready, hungry even, right now. Without a moment's hesitation, G Money simply shrugged. Fuck it, let's go. Little Un had his own tool, a hefty 357 mag, cloaked in black. It looked like a beast. They prepped their masks. G Money donned his crew colors, a crew based in the West Coast that he and Matt Dillon had quietly been a part of since '89. G Money and Little Un stormed into the numbers joint. A single round discharged into the ceiling, echoing their arrival. Little Un took center stage, his voice booming with imperious demands. With shaking hands, they filled up the bag he thrust towards them with cash, leaving only the coins clattering on the counter. With their loot, they tore off into the night, making a beeline for G Money's crib. In the safety of his room, Little Un counted the day's take. It amounted to nearly 9 grand, which they split evenly. Matt Dillon was given the responsibility to secure some greens from Bob's. When he returned, they kicked back and laughed a moment. As they puffed, Little Un declared to his departure. Worry of being seen with his ratchet in tow, G Money suggested he leave it with Matt Dillon to be kept at Gabriel's place. Little Un agreed, and with a nod, vanished into the night. As G Money counted his stacks, the spoils of that day and the day before, Matt piped up, claiming his need for some funds too. G Money offered a solution. You down for a joke? Matt nodded, still sealing the pack. But we start small. Got to build up your confidence first, G Money advised. The following day, the following Monday, with G Life on board as well, they took to the streets. G Money with the 357 and Mac grasping the 338. They prowled Washington and Eastern Parkway, rounding the bend to Flatbush. G Money spotted their mark, a couple adorned in in jewelry and shirlings. G Life eyes flickered with a newfound thirst, a hunger awakened. Matt trained his piece on the man, while G Life silenced the woman with a swift gesture. They made off with their spoils without a hitch, darting toward the parkway, and then cutting down Franklin Avenue to Union, down to Bedford, skirting back up to Lincoln Place. Hopping into a cab, they made the rest of the journey to G Money's crib. It wasn't a big haul, a few gold chains, earrings, and rings, but they were content. G Money was handed a gold ring as his share. G Life left first, leaving Matt and G Money to decompress. Their thoughts lost in the haze of greens they chopped down for the rest of the night. Just down the hall, nestled amidst the mosaic of urban dwellings, was a stash house occupied by two enchanting females. The place was a hub of allure and intrigue. First, there was Gabrielle, a vision of caramel complexion, beauty. Her aura illuminated the dark hallways. Then there was Lisa, a stunning brown-skinned enchantress who had captured G Money in her charm. Back in the back in the passionate summer of '89, G Money had let her wash his hair. The soothing strokes of her nimble fingers massaged his back, stirring a craving in him that only she could satiate. One day, in the midst of such an intimate session, G Money instructed Matt Dillon to deposit Little Un's ratchet in the drawer of Gabriel's room. Confident in the directives, G Money watched as Matt sauntered out of his crib, the weight of responsibility etched across his face. But rather than following orders, Matt took the ratchet out into the world, leaving G Money oblivious to his risky deviations. Come the following morning, Matt returned, his face a canvas of anxiety and distress. G Money, puzzled by his friend's demeanor, and quizzed, "What's good? Why you look so bimmy?" Matt, regaining his breath, stammered, out his confession. Yo, G, fucked up. He grasps, his voice laced with desperation. G Money expression hardened. Fuck you talking about? He shot back, his patience wearing him, wearing thin. Matt swallowed. Man, my uncle stole the gun while I was sleeping. G Money response was swift and snapped. How? When I told you to put it in the stash. His anger rose like a storm. You crazy. Don't you know we gonna have to pay for that? Plus little Un gonna be flipping over this? He continued, his voice thick with frustration. The nigga trusted me with this responsibility. Now you make me look stupid, and he ain't gonna believe you, but think I fucked up. Watch. This is El Gargain Reed, St. John Lubricate, Age of the Kraken, Chapter 9. G Money in a slick maneuver darted across the rooftops, reaching Danger with wild looks in his eyes. Danger, ever the calm one, nodded, saying, heard the saying, bro. Little Un's trying to light you up just for kicks. He had heard the room rumblings too. Little Un was planning to use this opportunity to purchase money to make him look weak in front of everyone. It seemed Little Un was eager to take G Money down a peg to assert his dominance over him. Acting on this intel, Danger sought out Little Un, thinking it was better he'd be the one to break the news, hoping that his approach would prevent Little Un from losing his cool. But Little Un didn't lose it. Not then. He held his peace, biding his time, waiting for the perfect moment to unleash his wrath on G Money. The moment came the following Saturday. Frankie Boo had just returned from a short stint behind bars. Big Winston, Frankie's cousin, had started hosting small gatherings in Charles' old building. The word was out that Frankie Boo was back in town and wanted to see G Money. It was plausible, but there was no certainty if Frankie Boo was aware of Little Un's plan to screw over G Money right in front of him. G Money showed up at the gathering, chilling as ever. He didn't have to pay to get in. Frankie Boo was there, perched by the window. G Money strolled over, gave him a high five, welcomed him back to the free world. And then it happened. Little Un crept up behind G Money, pressing the cold muzzle of his gun against his belly. G Money stiffened, his cool slipping for a moment. Yo, Little Un, what's up with that? What's up with this? He asked calmly. Little Un simply tightened his grip on G Money, a dark glint in his eyes. You and Matt Dillon better fix this shit. He spat out the words, then released his hold on G Money without another word. G Money backed away, his face betraying nothing but a quiet defiance, then turned and left the gathering. G Money was still hot when he met up with Danger later that night. You see what Little Un did, man? He exploded. The cool facade from earlier shattered, pulled a piece up on me right there in front of everybody. I gotta pop a cap in his ass, right? He was agitated, his usual calm nowhere to be found. Hold up, G. Danger put a calming hand on his shoulder. He left G Money standing there, disappearing into the night. He returned a few minutes later, having spoken to Little Un. Chill, G. Little Un just bullshitting, Danger insisted. Just showing off, just showing off for Frankie Boo. No need to escalate the shit. That wasn't enough for G Money. Not by a long shot, but Danger had a plan to smooth things over. It was simple. Matt Dillon and G Money were to cough up $250 each. It was for Little Un's loss, Ratchet, that supposedly started this whole mess. Grudgingly, they both paid up, but the disrespect, the public humiliation, it had changed things. The block wasn't the same anymore. In the following week, Danger and Indian got G Money back on his game. They were slinging Boyd, keeping G Money's mind and hands busy. But something new was stirring up in the block. Kilo, one of Indian's people from Smurf Village, was getting into car games. He pulled up in different whips every time, claiming it was his own. Soon enough, he was teaching the guys from St. John's how to use a pulley to jack cars. It was a new hustle, one that was quickly catching on. The block was changing, the game was evolving. Big Winston, a staple on the block, introduced two more players to the game, his twin boys. The twins were as different as night and day. One of them preferring the quiet life, rarely set foot on the block, but the other, known as Leatherface for the burnt scar that marked his cheeks, tried to find his place among the hustle and bustle. He wasn't much of a fighter, nor did he have the street smarts his father possessed. Instead, he found his niche as a gopher, running errands for Indian, delivering the wet work back to Brooklyn when they copped the work from the heights. The era of carjacking was in full swing. The block was abuzz with the hum of stolen 1990 Honda Accords and Civics, new shining bubbles of status. Leatherface managed to jack a Honda Coupe. Its shining exterior catching G Money's eye. Yo, that shit fly, he praised, proposing a plan to flex on some girls. Leatherface was dispatched to Flatbush to pick up some shorties with clear instructions to stick to the smaller side blocks away from the main thoroughfares. They scooped up the girls, their laughter filling the stolen car as they cruised back to the block. The plan was simple, but Leatherface, intoxicated by attention and the thrill of the night, disregarded it. He took a wrong turn into a main block, right into a police barricade. G Money, feeling the familiar sting of impending trouble, realized he was back in the game, and he had a secret that no one on the block knew about. At the precinct of 77, the cops rounded up G Money and Leatherface, along with two of the girls they were cruising with. The irony was palpable. It was Leatherface behind the wheel, yet it was G Money, the seasoned player, with his nerves tingling in the face of the law. The two men were separated, their fate in the hands of the blue uniforms. A stroke of luck, or perhaps a sign of the streetwise intelligence G Money had imparted. Leatherface was let out for questioning. The cops probed their questioning, aiming to link the girls to the stolen car. Innocent or accomplices, they wanted to know. Leatherface, coached by G Money, played it cool. He disentangled the girls from the mess, claiming he just picked them up, ignorant to the car's illicit history. The cops bought it, and the girls were let off the hooks, their laughter and joy for the night replaced with relief. The next time G Money laid eyes on Leatherface, they were headed to central bookings. The ordeal was surprisingly swift, and the sun hadn't yet announced a new date before they found themselves sharing a cell. In the cold, shock reality of their situation, G Money found himself opening up to Leatherface. The secret he'd been nursing finally spilled out. The end of him and Tisha. The coldness, the greed that greeted him after his last stint in jail. He told him of the desperate conversation, the impassionate kiss, and the consequences. Tisha pregnant with his firstborn son. The block was yet to know, but in the steel-clad confines of the cell, G Money laid his secret bare. As G Money laid it or bare to Leatherface, they hatched a plan. Leatherface would tell his attorney that he'd scooped up G Money from Flatbush along with the girls. The lawyer, dubious and skeptical, asked, "Are you sure you want to do this?" Leatherface, resolute and convinced, reassured him yes. The attorney outlined the legal consequences, a 6-month sentence with a partial 4 months. Given the right alignment of stars before the judge, Leatherface, now bearing the weight of the impending sentence, reassured G Money that the attorney would push the plea, but it had to get past the district attorney first. Leatherface was summoned before the judge. His attorney pressed the guilty plea and engaged in hushed whispers with the district attorney at the bench. The defense attorney argued the case was resolved with the plea, only to be countered by the prosecutor demanding a plea from G Money as well. Did you know the defense attorney interjected that there were also two young ladies in the stolen car? The judge turned to the prosecutor, eyebrows raised. Well, were there? The prosecutor confirmed, albeit, albeit reluctantly, yes, they were released at the precinct. Pardon me. The defense attorney seized the opportunity with this plea. Leatherface asserts that he picked up G Money, whom he didn't know prior to that day, along with the girl. The judge, worried with the day's proceeding, urged the prosecutor to accept the plea. Take what you got. Court is busy. We need to move to the next case. The prosecutor begrudgingly nodded in agreement. Leatherface's plea was accepted, and he was shipped off to the island to await sentencing. G Money didn't see Leatherface again, but when his turn came, his case was dismissed. And as he stepped back onto the block, a new weight took place on his shoulders. He knew he had to hustle harder now, not just for future family, but for Leatherface too. A week of freedom under his belt, G Money, flanked by his compadres Danger and Indian, started down Lincoln Place towards Troy Avenue. Their destination, Gary Joint, a local haunt known for the best grub in the hood. As they weaved their way through the thrumming neighborhood, their path took them past the familiar sight of Mike's mom laundromat, known to everyone affectionately as Mother. Her laundry joint was a cornerstone of the block. The gray skies, the gray skies lent a gloomy cast into the day. Yet the streets, yet the streets, yet the streets hummed their activity, crowded with life and the usual hustle across the way. Right in front of the laundromat was Frankie Boo, holding court amidst his cronies. As G Money passed, Frankie Boo couldn't resist throwing out a slick comment. G Money whipped his head around, firing his eyes. What the fuck you say? The past wasn't easily forgotten in these parts. G Money mind flashed back to the incident at Winston's shindig in Charles' building when Frankie Boo had called him up and pulled that trick on him. Frankie Boo replied coolly, stirring the pot with mention of Leatherface taking the bid for G Money. Silence hung in the air. G Money didn't utter a word, didn't need to. He just marched up to Frankie Boo, his fist doing the talking, landing a solid punch to Frankie Boo's face. Justice on these streets had a way of making itself known. Stunned, Frankie Boo ducked his head and charged at G Money, a hasty retaliation in the works. G Money expected a jab or a hook, was taken off guard by this wild, frantic approach. With a sudden lunge, Frankie Boo pushed G Money into the window of the laundromat. The crash shattering glass echoed down the block. Sharp pieces bit into G Money's back, but he held on to Frankie Boo, his arm a vice grip around his Boo's neck. Desperately, G Money twisted, seeking to bash Frankie Boo's skull on the metal gate of the laundromat. His aim was off. Instead, it was G Money's own head that collided with the hard metal beam. Cursing inwardly, G Money's world went blank. The street erupted into chaos. Danger and Poison, G Money's loyal comrade, sprung into action, wrestling Frankie Boo away from G Money. Unconscious, in conscious form, G Money's unconscious form. Poison later recounted how Frankie Boo, in a last-ditch, desperate move, had tried to slash G Money's face with a shard of glass. Poison's swift intervention had saved G Money from a more severe injury. The well of sirens filled the air as an ambulance arrived. G Money was whisked away to Kings County Hospital for a checkup. Uncle Benny met him at the emergency room, a worried frown creasing his face. His relief was palpable when the doctor discharged G Money. His words superficial. Benny drove G Money home, a silent guardian in these troubled times. As G Money arrived, danger was there, an anxious look on his face. He knew G Money, knew the burning desire for retaliation that would be kindling within him. He pleaded with G Money to stand down, to consider his unborn child, and what actions might lead to. Tisha appeared in the doorway, her presence a calming influence. Danger implored G Money to look at this as a lesson and turn this setback into opportunity. Let's take this and make it work for us instead of weakening us. Let's get money, he urged, hoping that G Money would heed his words. Hey, fam, that was chapter 9 of In Danger Indian, the story of G Money and the New Building Kids, man. This story is action packed. Kid you not, yo. It was lit from start of chapter to the end of chapter. But let me tell you something. Being that, the first book was called St. John Polo Posse. You know one of the reasons why G Money was so mad when he was on C-74 Rikers Island in one lower beam with CO, Ebron, and Santiago when Uptown Pop had came down there. When Pop had came in his cell, right, and he threw that bucket down, guess what kind of clothes was in that bucket? It was only one piece of clothes, one item, one IT. Guess what it was? It was a sweater, a knitted sweater too. It was a low sweater, yo, a polo sweater, man. It was a badge, universal badge sweater, knitted. When G Money saw that, he was so mad because he wasn't boosting no more. So to see this knitted Polo USA badge in front of him and he don't boost no more, it made him mad because if he thought about it, he was like, yo, man, what low life he stole this from? It was the blue and white one, turtleneck. G Money took his phallus out and urinated all over the sweater, yo. Spit in it, ran out the cell and threw it at Pop. And then when Pop looked down for the sweater, G Money hold off and snuffed him. Boom! But that's not the end of that drama. That drama continues on, man. But that's something else. But just notice, man, G Money had to fight through everything, man, through thick and thin. It didn't matter where he was at, he had to fight. He had to fight in the movie theater. He had to fight in the cell block. He had to fight the COs. He getting jumped by the Asians in Mod 4. Fighting one-on-one in Mod 8. Going to one lower. Fighting in one lower, getting jumped in one lower. You get where I'm coming from? Now in 6 lower. Getting released from going home. As soon as he come home, he got to mentally wrestle with the inadequacy of his peers. You see that? Peers that don't take advice to heed. And when you give them strict instructions on how to move in these streets, they don't take it because they so gassed up. So you gotta be aware of that when you with your cronies in the street, yo. And you seeing y'all sliding. But he not even listening. He just caught up with the hype of what he's doing. He's not thinking about the consequences. He's not thinking about the preparedness that you already got established to get away, to go to do the next issue, to make the next move. Sometimes dudes don't think about the next move. They get stuck in the present. And as a gift, their gift is torture. Do you want to be tortured all the time because of your ill-fated compadres decisions? Think about it, man. When you read St. John Newburn Kids Age of Kraken, look how G Money was interacting with his peers. Did he listen to his peers? I'll let you judge that for yourself, man. But anyway, man, this is Gara Gayn, Reed, St. John New Building Kids, Age of the Kraken, man, out chapter 9, man. I see you dudes next week, man. I enjoyed y'all comfort. I enjoyed y'all viewing this. Keep on. But yo, on top of that, man, yo, go support our website, elgaragayn.com. It is spelled ELGARAGAYN.com, man. And when you go there, man, get you a Cookie Monster, man. Get you a Frankie Boo Cookie Monster hoodie. Get you a Ms. Low hoodie. Get you an Indian hoodie. Get you a Danger hoodie. Get you a G-Light hoodie. Get you a G-Life hoodie. Also new on the deck, you know what I mean? Because you know we got our holistic thing. We call this the what? This is the fashion apocalypse, yo. And survival of the flyers, we got something for you guys, man. We've been working on this since we was in Detroit last July, man. We also was in Detroit this year too at Savior's Day. But one of the things that inspired us when we went to Detroit was when we was in Detroit, man. We was in rock bottom, in black bottom, yo, the rock bottom, yo, black bottom, Detroit, man. You know what we saw when we witnessed what architecture we witnessed? Yeah, we witnessed the shrine of the Black Madonna. Hence, it inspired this T-shirt, man. Check it out, man. This is the Black Madonna. Cop it. Go to our website, lgargain.com, lgaragain.com, lgargain.com. Go cop this beautiful piece of artwork, yo. This is our Cookie Madonna with our Cookie Angels and our Cookie Messiah. Check it out, yo. The Holy Cookie. Check it out, man. Check it out, man. You know what I mean? No bootleg. You know what I mean? No bootlegs. Check it out, man. Also, too, we learned, man, when I was in Chicago, I mean Detroit, you know, that's the place where Elijah Muhammad was living when Honorable Elijah Muhammad became the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He met Master Farad Muhammad there. And his name, or rather his mother name. Elijah Muhammad's mother name was Mary or Marie, which is the Black Madonna, Al Mariam of the scriptures, man. Check it out, man. Come get the t-shirt, man. Enjoy it, man. Walk around, lift your head up, and be proud that you can walk around, and let the world know that the Virgin Mary of the Bible of the Quran was the Black Madonna, man. Let them know, man. And also check it out. Boom. Don't forget, man. Her son had 12 apostles. So we call this the cookie apostles, man. They go hand in hand, man. And each of these apostles are members of the St. John Polar Posse or one of the new building kids, man, or from St. John, man. You know what I mean? This is what we talking about. St. John Massive, man. St. John Posse, man. Check it out, man. See, SJP meant to us St. John Posse, but then we converted to St. John Massive. And as we had St. John Massive, remember, St. John Polar Posse was an aspect of St. John Massive, but wasn't St. John Massive because we weren't inclusive when we had the Polar Posse. As the low life St. John low life is inclusive, we were not inclusive. Know what I mean? This is the cookie. This is the cookie apostles, man. Check it out, yo. Check it out, man. All right, man. This is El Gargains Reads St. John Newburn, the kid, Edge of the Kraken, man. See y'all next week, man. Enjoy, man. I appreciate the viewing. Keep it going, man. Let's reach 100K, man. Let's go. Let's go viral. Peace, y'all. Peace.